There were like 6 or 7 doctors were around my bed, and I'm like, guys, why are you acting so seriously? Like, what's going on here? What's all this drama about?
Nobody can prepare you for the moment when you hear you have 5 days left to live. Take us back to the moment when you heard that.
I went from being really fit, living wherever I wanted to live, Bali, Prague, wherever, to all of this is gone, and I'm in a hospital room.
What are maybe 3 lessons you would be willing to share with our listeners?
Whether you think you can or you think you can, you will be right. I need a vision board in this freaking hospital room.
Wow.
So I had a vision board. I'm like, Amari went to the store. She printed everything. She told me, like, send me the pictures. I'm gonna print it. The whole wall was just, things I still wanted to do. A book I wanted to write.
So Axel, how would you describe your childhood in 3 words?
Well, welcome back to hopefully your favorite podcast in the whole world. My name is Axel Schura. I'm your host, and today's episode is really special because today we are turning the tables around. I'm being interviewed. I was on the podcast of Elis Goto and created a podcast that blew my mind, almost 2 hours long, and I said, I want my community to listen to it. I decoded my success story. I shared lessons that could save you a couple of years, if not decades, in your life. And it was just such a beautiful interview about meaning making, one of the most important skills you can develop in life. Nothing has meaning until you give something meaning. And we really talk about that skill and how to develop that skill and how to deal with fear and emotions in general, self-regulation. It's such a beautiful episode. I want to let you know the entire episode, the full part. Today you're just listening to part 1, part 2, and the entire episode will be linked down below. Without further ado, I would say let's jump right into the interview. It was summer this year in beautiful Prague with one of my clients, and she has an incredible podcast. Highly recommend it if you're into business, if you're into e-commerce, personal development. And now, without further ado, let's get the party started.
Axel, over the last couple of months, I've had the privilege to tap into your wisdom, and I can truly say it's unmatched. So today, I feel super excited to be able to share your learnings and your mindset with many more people and unpack not just your way to survive cancer, but to truly thrive after that. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. What an introduction. I have goosebumps. You're filming in 4K, right? You can see it.
Let's start with this question. I feel like most of us just live wishing for quick success, very quick growth, beautiful memories, but nobody can prepare you for the moment when you hear you have 5 days left to live. Take us back to the moment when you heard that. What were the emotions? What were the feelings that you had come up?
A really good question. You're going straight for it. I like it. The emotions. So I think I need to deliver a bit of context. Up until that point, I was living, I would say, fulfilled life. I had a, for sure, tough childhood. But at some point, I decided, you know what, I'm going to take self-responsibility. I started working on myself, started reading self-help books, studied the brain just because, I saw how much a person can suffer.
Yeah.
And I was like, this stuff, this addiction, I grew up surrounded by alcoholics. I'm like, I remember making the decision, this ends with me. And so I was already really just interested in understanding the human body, but then also the human mind. And so I was like, I'm going to do my own thing. Started my own business, started my own personal brand, and it grew well. And then this part of, my journey came into came into my life that you just mentioned, that I went from being really fit, living wherever I wanted to live, Bali, Prague, wherever, to all of this is gone, and I'm in a hospital room, and there was this moment where doctor said that, it was actually said to my partner at the time. You know her, Mari. She's a legend. She was the person receiving the message, because I was so drugged.
You were on
painkillers that you could have said anything to me. I was like, oh, I don't care. Like, I was just not myself.
That's such a tough job to translate such a difficult message, to first of all have the strength to absorb it, but also probably protect you from it in a certain way.
Yeah. So I didn't know what's going on. Like, I learned about all of this much, much later.
So during the initial stages of you finding out, were you aware how critical the situation was?
No. There was this one moment where there were like 6 or 7 doctors where around my bed, and I'm like, guys, why are you acting so seriously? Like, what's going on here? What's all this drama about? You're acting. I literally said this sentence. You're acting like I'm about to die.
Oh my goodness.
Because Mari never told me.
Yeah.
She wanted to protect me from that news, and she knew, like, I'm the kind of person, I believe until the last second. Like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I don't care. That's how I was raised. That if I have a goal, I'm gonna go get it. That's my mindset. Even if the odds would be 1%. That's just how I grew up. And so she would be probably the better person to answer that question. For me, I don't know. I was just so medicated that I have a hard time remembering the moment. But for my loved ones, it was obviously devastating.
If there hadn't been the shield in the light of your now ex-partner to deliver the news, and there wasn't this kind of layer of protection, and the doctors were speaking directly to you, do you think your chances for surviving and taking all of your willpower to fight for it would have been the same?
That's a really good question. I don't know. What I do know is that I could have not done it by myself. That's for sure. That I know. Like, I was really lucky to have friends, family around me who protected me and helped me, and there was not even a percentage of doubt. They believed so much in me.
I love that.
And had such a positive attitude also towards me and the whole situation, that for sure helped. Because if you don't believe it's possible, it won't. Whatever it is in life, if you don't believe it's possible, it just won't happen.
100%.
And there was just no alternative. Like, we have to get through this somehow.
That's such a powerful mindset, and I'm completely in awe of how you managed to turn your mindset around even in such a rough situation and still feel like there's an option for me. I can do this. Even if there is 1%, I'll fight for it. Did you yourself, though, have moments of doubt?
For sure. Yeah, of course. Not when... Can I swear on your podcast?
Of course.
Not when shit hit the fan, then it's just fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
I was fighting.
Yeah.
I didn't have the time to process that. Later, when I got better, then I was actually like, oh, what? Then it started. What if it comes back? What if it happens again? Will I actually make it? Like, what is it? Who's guaranteeing that this is actually working? What I'm doing here, the therapy and everything. But in the moment, it was my subconscious mind, and my subconscious mind has been trained in my entire life. Like, it felt like the 26, 27 years before were like preparation for that moment.
Yeah. Because
my subconscious mind knew, okay, whatever I tell myself is going to be my reality. Like, there's this quote by Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you think you can, you will be right. And that is like in my subconscious mind. So I know the power of words. I know how powerful words are. So I knew I have to tell myself, this is going to work out for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to make this work. I don't know how yet, but I'll make it work. And there's no doubt about it that I will make it work. And when there are moments of doubt, that's just how it also continues now in my life. When there are moments of doubt, I know, okay, that's just a thought. That's how I try to see it. And back in that moment, first I didn't have the time to really doubt. When I got better, I started doubting. There was one moment, or like 2 or 3 bad days, I would say. You can call them bad days, just because most of the time I was not living in a nice state. I was asking, why me? Why me? Why me? Why did this happen to me? And at some point I'm like, Axel, did you forget your own teachings? What do you mean? You ask such horrible questions and you get horrible answers.
It's really easy to internalize it, though. And, in rough situations, I think most of us would resort to the question, why is this happening to me? Like, what did I do to deserve this? So how did you manage to not internalize that question, and how did you reframe it in your head?
Couple of things I did. Number one, asking for help. Getting it out of my head, communicating it with people, communicating my fears, having a therapist. One of the best decisions I've ever made in life is having a therapist. Having people around me that could, that I could just talk to, because so often we're like stuck in our head. And I knew like I need to get this out of my head. And usually in my life, in my coachings, I tell people, well, first you need to shift your physical state.
Yeah.
Then the rest becomes easier. But I was tied into a hospital bed. Like that was the thing I couldn't do. So I knew I need to get out of my head. And I tried to do it with many different things. Asking for help, my loved ones, love. When people ask me like, what made you survive? I always say, love.
Wow.
Because that's the strongest force in life. Like, we human beings, we're funny creatures. We are willing to do more for others than for ourselves. And knowing that, I was just visualizing every single freaking day how I will be on, and that really happened. So Mari,
Yes.
and what she stood for, what we stood for, that gave me so much strength, that love. No, and she had there was this one picture I kept repeating in my head. She was doing this competition and I wanted to see her win the competition, but I also wanted to be there in person.
Yeah.
So I kept visualizing that picture every single morning. And those were things that helped me. I was tied into a bed, but at some point I'm like, I want to stand. Today I want to learn how to stand again. And it sounds so crazy. If you've
Especially knowing you have been so fit, so healthy all of your life, and for it to take a turn so quickly.
Yeah. But then from the business world, from personal development, I know little steps add up.
Yeah.
What can I do? How can I take mini risks today? How can I do a little bit of progress today? Because I know if I do this over and over again, it adds up. And I will look back at a lot of progress. And so I did a couple steps here, a couple steps there, 2 steps more tomorrow, 2 steps more tomorrow. And at some point I was walking down the hospital.
Yeah.
And yeah.
There might be people watching us who, God forbid, are fighting some kind of a disease or perhaps cancer as well. There are some factors that are external, maybe the kinds of treatments you have access to that are outside of your control. But what is within our control is our mindset and the way we make decisions in those crucial moments. So if you were to analyze what helped you survive, what are the 5 steps for a recipe that helped you get out of it?
5 steps. Okay. Let me start with the decision to commit, to give my everything, to give my very best, everything I have to make this work.
Yeah.
I think that's something we sometimes forget. Sometimes we say, maybe we achieve this, maybe I'll get this. I like this phrase, maybe is a swear word.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to say like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
maybe I'm going to get flowers for my partner tomorrow.
Yeah.
With that attitude, you
Lack of commitment.
Yeah, lack of commitment. You say, I'm gonna make this work. That was I knew only then I have a chance. You know, it's like I'm an athlete. I've been my whole life, and I know how much that attitude matters.
Mm-hmm.
That attitude determines altitude. If you go into, I played football for a really long time. I knew if you go into a game and you have this attitude, we're not gonna win.
You'll be right about it.
You'll be a gazillion% right about it.
Yeah.
If you have the attitude, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to win, can anybody guarantee you that you will win? No. But at least you have a shot.
100%.
And a much better shot than going into the whole thing with negativity.
Yeah. A 100% decision goes a long way.
Yeah. So that would be the first step, like really committing. The second step, I did that subconsciously, is finding a really strong why. I really believe if the why is strong enough, you will figure out anyhow.
What was your why?
Love. Like the thought that my loved ones have to go through so much pain, like I could just like, no way. No way. That for sure. Third one, progress every day in some way and celebrating it. Number 4, doing the things even when I don't feel like it. Like I didn't feel like getting up. Like that was the last thing. I didn't feel like going on a walk.
How did you motivate yourself in those moments?
I love this whole motivation thing. Sometimes you just have to do it. Sometimes the first step is the hardest, and you go 3, 2, 1, and then the motivation comes. And there is this incredible book I've read a long time ago. It's called 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins.
Yeah.
And the idea is really simple. You have an intuition, you have an idea, you know that is the right thing to do. You count in your head 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you do the first step.
Yeah.
Don't
let your brain overanalyze.
Yeah, don't.
Just jump into it.
3, 2, 1, and you just do it. And I've, again, training camp my whole life. I take a cold shower every morning. There is no day where I'm like, oh, I feel so ready.
Yeah.
But I trained my brain to go 3, 2, 1, and I just do it. 3, 2, 1, and I make the first step. 3, 2, 1, I pick up my camera and make a video. 3, 2, like I used it then, I use it now, and that is just my subconscious mind now. So that was something really helpful. 3, 2, 1, just
so
do
powerful.
it. 3, 2, 1, just ask, because it was really humbling. But that's
one more, number 5.
That would be number 4, and number 5 would be, let me give you something I haven't communicated yet. Get help. Get help from someone who can hold space for you. Best case, from someone who has been through, or let me rephrase it, since this here is also a business podcast. Get help from someone who has what you want to have, or someone who can get you there.
Who is that in your case? Was it an
I have
example
many
of
people.
a survivor, or was it doctors? Were those therapists?
I have a really good. He doesn't call himself therapist. He is a trained therapist, but he for sure helped me a lot during that time. A lot of people. Like I'm really lucky to have a lot of amazing people, mentors, coaches in my life that I have access to, and without them, I wouldn't be here. That's for sure. And that is also one of the best things I've ever done. Looking back, learning from others, instead of just trying everything by myself. That's. I would say if you take those 5 steps, not just in that situation, but in general in life.
Yeah, I feel like that recipe is so translatable to any kind of challenging situation.
Yeah.
It's really rare for us to be able to have a near-death experience. and to also then have an opportunity to contemplate it, especially at such a young age. What was that conversation with death like, and how did it change your relationship to life?
One of the first books I've ever read is called The Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Have you read it?
I have.
And I remember reading it. I was 18, and I was like, wait a second. So you're telling me time is limited? And wait a second. Like, until that point, I've never thought about death, you know? But after this book, I started to understand the concept. I'm like, oh, okay, so time is limited. Really interesting. Why do I care so much? And then if you know that truth, if you really understood that, you just live life a bit different. For me, it just doesn't make sense to, for example, live for the next 30, 40 years, do a job that I don't like, to then retire. And then enjoy life. Because who knows that if you can retire, you know?
Yeah.
Who knows if you live until then? Who knows if nobody knows. Yeah. So all you have is right freaking now and perhaps tomorrow. So that was already in me. So I already knew about this. So the conversation I had was not like, for the first time in my life, I'm facing death. For the first time in my life, I'm becoming aware of that time is limited. But I'm going to be honest with you, it was scary. Like, I didn't want to. I'm like, I'm really happy living. Like, I want to be here.
Yeah.
I want to stay here. There's so many things that I still want to do. And like all of those books I've read before, they popped up to my mind. Like all the mentors, I remember thinking that like, oh, there's still so many things that I want to do. There was this one video that Mari made, and she said, like, there's still so many things he wanted to do. And she was sad about it. I'm like, wait, let me use that as fuel. Because I know the book, do you know Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl?
Oh, 100%.
Fantastic. Really.
He
really,
who has a why will find it.
Yeah. And I remember him talking about Holocaust survivors, that, like, something he saw is that people who had something that they looked forward to, they had higher chances of survival. And I was like, okay, I need a vision board in this freaking hospital room.
Wow.
So I had a vision board. I'm like, Amari went to the store. She printed everything. She told me, like, send me the pictures. I'm gonna print it. The whole wall was just, things I still wanted to do. A book I wanted to write. I have this. It was really important for me to, at some point, be old. Like I had pictures of like old couples there. I just really liked this idea and like all the things, a hotel and blah, 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 like things that I really want to do. And that just gave me so much freaking hope. I'm not sure what the question was. What the conversation with Death was. That was my conversation with Death. I am staying here.
Again, coming back to that 100% decision. And it seems the whole journey you were just focusing on that spring then follows winter, rather than just focusing on all the bad things happening around you.
I wish sometimes people would have been a bit harder with me and say, actually, you need to focus on what you want. We can't focus on the thing you don't want. We can't do that. We can't go there with your thoughts every day. We need to focus on what you want.
Yeah.
And that's obviously very hard in that situation. If you're like, day in my life would have been basically giving my book here away.
We need little snippets. Please continue.
It's coming next year. The days were not, you sit and you meditate, you wake up, somebody takes blood out of your body, and then there is someone putting a massive needle into your back. And like, it's very hard to stay positive.
It is.
But I also knew from the books, hey, if Holocaust survivors, like if they find a way, there must be a way then. Okay? And what makes this event hard, painful, is not the event, it's my interpretation. So I tried to reframe all of this. Instead of chemo, we said liquid sunshine.
Would you say you have to be to a certain point Delulu?
Yeah,
really
yeah. I mean, this whole Delulu part, I love it. I love it so much. Delulu, and then the next amazing word, toxic positivity. Delulu and toxic positivity. So nothing in life has any meaning. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Nothing in life has any meaning. We make meaning up, even with words. There is a word for, you can say bum, you can say ass, right? You can say butt. It's all the same thing.
It is.
Right? All describes the same thing. We just created different meanings for it.
Yeah.
And life situations, one person loses their job. One person gets fired. It's like the worst day of their lives. And then another person gets fired. It's like, ooh, I'm so excited, amazing, a new opportunity.
My path is aligning.
Right? One
Yeah.
person gets rejected. Oh.
Yeah. It's all about
And the other
perception.
person is like, oh. I recently had a friend of mine. She was sitting next to me in a taxi in Italy, and a client basically ended the collaboration. And she was like, "Oh fuck, I'm so happy about it. Finally, because we didn't make progress and she
Yeah.
didn't do her part. I'm so happy she left." I'm like, interesting, because I'm sure there's another person right now who
100%.
cries because a client left. So it's nothing has meaning. We give things meaning, and I don't think it's delulu to give things positive meaning. I think it's intelligent. Because if nothing has meaning, might as well find the empowering meaning in things. It takes zero courage to be negative.
Yeah.
Absolutely no courage, no faith, no strength, nothing. It takes courage, it takes faith to say, you know what? I'm going to try to find the beautiful meaning in this. I'm going to try to find the empowering meaning in this.
Why has it happened for me?
Exactly. What is good about this? And even about my shitty situation, framing. But anyways, even about that situation. Okay, what was good about that? Okay, I have a lot of time to watch all of those tennis matches I always wanted to watch. Okay,
Wow.
I have time to just chill at home and do nothing. How about that beautiful Czech lady that brings me home cooked food every day? That like in every moment you can find something good.
Yeah.
And that takes maybe a bit of delusion. But you know what? I don't think it's delusion. I think it's intelligence. I think at the end of the day, it's intelligence. And yeah, I don't think there is such a thing as toxic positivity.
If you can't control those external factors, might as well find a positive growth point for yourself, right?
Yeah, but what's the alternative? Complain and like feel horrible, and I don't know. Like I just don't sign up to the concept.
I love that. Knowing all of the personal growth that has come out of this period for you and everything that's unfolded for you because of this lesson, would you go through it again?
No, no. No. The teacher, that's how I say it. The teacher came into my life, taught me a couple of lessons. I learned my lessons. You may go. No, I wouldn't say so. Like there are a lot of things. I think it happened for me. Many amazing people I met because of it. An amazing book I get to write that I know will reach a lot of people. We reach millions of people every month because of this story. But I don't need to do it again. No, thank you.
Health is something you're not willing to sacrifice.
No. Health is not something that I'm willing to sacrifice. No, and I don't think it needs to be happening again. Like I really learned my lesson. I took my time. I looked at it. I changed things, and yeah, I wouldn't. Not just for myself, but also for my loved ones.
100%.
Because for them it was equally hard. I think it can be even harder, for the other person. Like how much pain would
For sure.
someone who loves you go through? To just see a loved one suffering is one of the hardest things
Probably the
a
worst.
human being can endure. So no, thank you.
This probably changed your perspective quite a bit.
Yeah.
What are maybe 3 lessons you would be willing to share with our listeners out of this experience?
Number 1 would be probably become a team player. we love to share our wins. When something is going well, what is the first thing you do when you have a win? When something goes really well?
Message your loved ones.
You call someone, right? When something is not going well, what is the first thing you do?
Don't tell anybody.
You don't tell anybody. You're stuck in your head. So I would say become a team player in the sense of you share wins, you share challenging times, and you have a team in your life. For some people, it's in their business. They go with you through the wins, the challenging times, and you learn together. I would say that was one of the biggest lessons. Like, we're social beings. Because for a long time I tried to do everything by myself.
Yeah.
And that was just bad conditioning from the past, from my childhood. And so seeing that, like, I could not, when you're adult man who's been self-sufficient his whole life pretty much, and now you have to ask someone to go to the toilet with you, it's very humbling. But at some point I understood there is so much beauty in being able to ask for help.
How beautiful. How is it serving you now on the daily basis that you are implementing it?
In terms of business, I must say, it's serving me a lot because now I have no problem giving tasks away, like asking for help. I have a team of people who make things possible for me, and I know a lot of it is because of that experience, because I really learned to give away responsibility to heal that wound of asking for help, because I needed to. I had no other chance. So that would be one thing. The next thing would be I want to give you a different answer that I usually give. I want to give you things that just pop up to my head. Be nice. Be nice. Because one day you will reflect and you will hope that you treated the people you love nicely. Like, the most important thing that you will worry about on your deathbed is love and connection. Did you really love? Did you have amazing memories with your loved ones?
Yeah.
That's what you will care about. Like, how are they? Are they okay? Are they good? Do they know that I love them? And some people run around through life never telling the people they love the most, their kids, their partners, how much they love them. And I'm like, what on earth? Why would we do that? So treating the people nicely. I could go on for forever. The third point would probably don't work so much. Yeah, I think you asked for lessons. That's something I changed. Don't work so much and don't take life so seriously. Because at the end of the day, that whole experience made me realize, made me understand very few things actually really matter. And the little things that you maybe take for granted are actually the big things. The little things are the big things, like the date night with your loved one, with your partner, the coffee you have every single morning, the ability to go to the gym or play tennis. All of those things make you rich. We have this idea, the Ferrari, the big house, the jet ski, that is richness. That's not richness, There's so many people who have all of this, the fame, the money, the Oscar, whatever, but they feel poor. They don't love. How many more examples do we need of celebrities who are clearly not happy, who end their lives too early?
In this season of life for you, how do you define success?
Being happy, as romantic as it sounds, and that's a reality check I do frequently. Like, am I really happy right now? But am I happy with my day? Am I happy with how I'm spending my day, my time? And if the answer is no for 3 days in a row, I know I need to change something. And that's like I have this voice in my head asking me, is this really in alignment with how you want to live? Because I know with 100% certainty, we all don't know when our time is over. And that is something I want to use for myself. So it gives me, like little reality checks.
How often do you have to bring yourself back to,
Often.
checking? Because I imagine it's such a valuable lesson you have learned. Most of us never get that perspective of how truly finite this life is.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you forget at times as well.
Oh, for sure. I forget every day.
What are those little checks you do on a daily
just,
basis?
Every morning during my meditation, I check in and I ask myself, like, what do I want? What do I want to create? How do I want to live? And, it's one thing to read a book about death or everybody should watch this speech Steve Jobs gave once. Which university was it? I'm not sure which university, but if you look it up, Steve Jobs' speech about death, you can hear about it, but it's a different thing if you have really, really understood it.
Absolutely.
And it happens frequently, like every other day that I check in with myself, like, why do I do this? Like, why is this so important? And sometimes, I have to find consciously powerful meaning and, get back to what I want and not let this be something that helps me, not that is like against me, if that makes sense.
Makes absolute sense.
Yeah. But like in general, that voice is helping me a lot. Enables me to think big. I'm not scared to look stupid or to fail because I know nobody actually, like, I'm not going to care.
Nothing matters in perspective, right?
I mean, nothing matters, and there are things that matter. What matters is that I'm proud of the things that I do.
Yeah.
Whether other people think it's good or not, I don't, like, that's not determining the value of it.
Yeah.
I want to do things that I look back at the end of my life and say, dope, cool. I'm really proud of that. And I want to have fun. That's for me. I think you asked for my definition of success. If I have fun, what's the point of sitting 13 hours in front of my laptop and making another zero to my bank account? Okay, I love money, great. But really, there needs to be a balance. And I want to spend my time doing things, creating things that I'm proud of. And sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. And when I don't, I try to, just shift and like, okay, well, maybe that was not the best investment of my time.
Beautiful, beautiful measurements, because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that, maybe are not so satisfied with their current job and where they're at, but it's all about what you do with it. Some people never actually change it.
Yeah, and I want people to understand it's not the money.
Yeah.
Because people think, once I get the money, then I'll be happy. No. Do you know how many people I know who have so much money and are miserable and are stressed all the time, who are even stressed about money? It's not just because you have a lot of money on your bank account that you don't stress about it anymore. Then you just have a new standard, and if it goes below the standard, you get equally stressed.
Yeah. And it's worse when you have money and you still feel shit.
Yeah,
because now you can't blame it on money.
Yeah, now you can't blame it on the money. Then you blame someone else.
Yeah.
Then you blame the partner. Then you blame the kids. Then you blame whatever, the town where you grew up. It's not the money. It's also not the success. It's something, it's ourselves. That's, I think, something we need to learn as individuals, business owners, human beings, is learning how to frame things for us. Learning how to train not only your body and your biceps, but also training your appreciation muscle, your gratitude muscle. Learning to look for the good things in situations. That is a skill you need to learn.
A massive skill.
Yeah, and you can have a lot of money, for example, success, business success, and have a very tiny muscle when it comes to those things. Appreciation, gratitude, and having fun at the end of the day. And I think that's everybody at the end of the day wants to feel good.
Oh, 100%. What's the point otherwise?
Yeah, and what is this whole rat race about? More, hustle. So what? Why?
Well, in my opinion, it's been created by the society, because for the society, it's quite beneficial for people to be working as much as they can. right? But on the flip side of that, I think if everybody were to follow their ultimate path of alignment that brings excitement to them, our world would probably be just that much better.
Elis, I've been on that side for a very long time. I worked every single hour. Young 20s, I would work, it would start at 6 and I would end at 9 or 10. I think, yes, I loved what I did, but there was also, and that's for many of us, I tried to prove something. And then the question I always ask when I have someone in front of me, who are you trying to prove that you're enough?
Mm-hmm.
And often it's like father, mother.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was, my father.
Mm-hmm.
Or like in general, I mean, I lost my mom when I was 1. So my whole life I've been trying to prove that I'm enough. Made me become a high achiever. That's great.
Yeah.
But at some point you need to look at the flip side and the other side and ask yourself, are you really fulfilled? Are you really happy? Are you really proud of the life that you're living, of the lifestyle that you're living? And you can have both. You can achieve amazing things because at the end of the day, that part is just science.
Mm-hmm.
Fulfillment is more like, that is definitely not scientific.
Very subjective.
Very subjective, spiritual, you can call it art, but that is something you need to look at some point. But I knew, hey, I need to get out of this hustle culture and work every single moment. And also be, at the end of the day, we all have the fear in some way to be not enough, not good enough.
Yeah.
And I want to come closer to the truth, which is, your mother, your baby is turning 2 soon. Can I ask you, what does she have to do to be enough for you?
She is completely, entirely enough. And the only question I will be asking her when she grows up is, are you happy?
Yeah. A mother will always tell you.
I can never predict what she's going to want to have as her job. She doesn't have to live by my definition of success. But what will truly make me happy and proud of her is if she says, yes, I'm happy, I'm fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. Every mother will tell you, like, my baby doesn't have to do anything.
100%.
In fact, like, I do a lot and it's enough, right? In most cases, not in all cases. And then, we grow older and things change a little bit. So hormones just in our bodies change. And then we're trying to prove our whole lives that we are enough. But at the end of the day, for the people who really care about you, you are enough. You don't need to do anything.
You are so correct about it. And even working with my clients, I see so many people living somebody else's definition of success because they're still trying to prove something to their parents, to, I don't know, their aunts, their uncles, to their friend group. And really that doesn't lead to fulfillment because maybe in your parents' definition, success or what you read into in terms of their definition was working hard, right? And you're working so hard to try and achieve something, but really it's not your definition of success. And so that becomes an infinite loop that will never actually lead to fulfillment. And so to anybody that's listening to us, I really, really encourage you just to sit down and write down your own definition of success so you at least know what is it that brings fulfillment to you. How can you take little steps towards it instead of just trying to live somebody else's dream?
Yes. And also your own rules of what do I need to do so that I feel enough? Because there are many people working 13-hour days and then at the end of the day, still not enough.
It's all about the inner conversation.
Yeah, it's the inner conversation. It's the inner framework. That's the work. Learning how to regulate, learning how to give things empowering meaning. That's the real deal. And everybody needs to do this. Whether you're a business owner, it doesn't matter. It's like one of the most important things I would teach at school if I would have a school.
Be the example for us right now. So point A, Axel working morning till late night, hustling, not feeling enough, versus point B now, you seem to have that
Still doing all
perfect life of, you have businesses, you're not managing them, they're probably working a little bit less. Maybe give us like a little comparison of some figures of what your life feels like.
So my life is definitely not perfect. I love my life, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but my life is not perfect, and I still get frustrated, and there are moments where I don't feel well. But the difference is I stress myself way less. I wake up whenever I want to wake up. I don't force myself to wake up at 5 a.m. I sleep as long as I want to sleep. If my body needs 9 hours, 9 hours.
Yeah.
Like, that's my definition of success.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. just because, you're part of the 5 a.m. club, or because I need to work and work and work and work. No, I know the most important thing is that I feel good.
Yeah.
So I got this book once gifted from my sister, and it's called The Secret.
Oh, yeah.
And I understood from this book, the most important thing is that I feel good. Because when I feel good, I make better decisions.
It's all about the vibrations too. I'll get to that maybe.
When I make better decisions, I get better results.
Yeah.
I live a better life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can sleep 4 or 5 hours and work all day, but how will you feel? And your energy, your attitude, of course, impacts on what you create. You can always say, like, I would just sleep 3 hours less. Okay, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you create better results or that you're even more productive.
Correct.
It's like if there is a 5K run, there are always a couple of people who start sprinting. And you can do that, but you will see you get into trouble after, the first 1,000 meters.
Yeah.
And then all the people who took their time are surpassing you. And it's the same thing, I think, in life. Like, it's really important to make sure you feel good. So that's my number one priority.
Yeah. I would even phrase it to set a new benchmark for yourself so you never work over, 80% of your maximum, because eventually if you keep pushing 100, 120, it just leads to burnout.
It leads to feeling miserable. That's what burnout
And it
is.
takes much longer to recover from that state than just doing a little bit less, taking care of your energy, and then waking up with fresh, new power and state to create something the next day. But let's break it down into percentages. I know you're a numbers guy too.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious. I'm sure there's a lot of people watching you from the outside, and you are, the wildest example of success and mindset and healthcare and the coaching niche. And they're really looking up to you. Percentage-wise, how much of your success do you owe to mindset, to taking action, and to possibly luck/manifesting things into your life?
So mindset, luck, and what's the third thing?
Taking action.
Taking action. Okay, so that's a really good question. Tony Robbins once said, success is 80% psychology, 20% mechanics, skills. I don't know where he came up with the numbers, but sounds pretty reasonable. I think the most important thing is really your psychology, your mindset. As I said earlier, like, if you keep repeating, if you keep believing, it's not going to work for me, it's not going to work for me, it won't. That's just how it is. And also, whenever you're trying to achieve something, the most important thing is the mindset, the psychology. That enables me to achieve things that seem to be impossible. Like when I was in my early 20s, for example, I wanted to shoot a documentary about climate refugees. I had no big following, no contacts whatsoever, but I was driven and I knew I had the right mindset because of all of the lessons I learned earlier, the books. I took action, massive action, and I for sure had luck. But I would say the biggest chunk, those 70-80%, are the mindset, your psychology, taking action. And then there's for sure 10-20% luck. But, luck is something that you get lucky whenever you show courage. You get lucky when you go for it. Like when you take care of those two parts, if you know what you want, if you know why you want it, and you're willing to play your part, because that's something people forget when it comes to law of attraction. You need to play your part. You need to be in the right energy. You need to learn how to self-regulate, because it's not coincidence in what kind of energy you are. It's like you're in charge of all of this. Your emotional world, that's you. How amazing. For some people, it's like, shit, I feel terrible all the time.
Take responsibility.
That's the flip side of self-responsibility. But it's also the beautiful thing about self-responsibility.
You get to create.
You choose. If you want to be angry all day, okay, amazing. It's your choice. And it's like the same thing I have to tell me. Like, if I want to be frustrated all day, I can be frustrated all day. If I want to switch and feel a different emotion, okay, I can do that as well. But to answer your question, so I would say 70-80%, the first two things, and then the rest is luck. For sure. But I really believe luck is something you create. Luck is something you can make. I see the more optimistic people are, the luckier they are.
What do you attribute that to? Is that their mindset? Do you believe in all of this kind of vibrational stuff? How do you personally explain it?
I believe that whatever you really focus on, that's my core belief. Whatever you're going to focus on, you're going to feel. A really simple example is to worry about something. You are focusing on something that probably didn't even happen yet.
Yeah.
But it feels really real. Right?
Right.
Like everybody can think of something they worried about once. It never became reality.
Oh, yeah.
But it felt real. The suffering was real. The pain was real. That shows you how powerful your mindset is. So I am trying to do the opposite. I want to use that mind tool for me, because your brain doesn't know the difference between this is reality, this is happening in front of my eyes, or this is just pure imagination, this is just my brain. So use that for you.
Absolutely.
And I believe whenever I do that, somehow I get lucky. But you need to be in a nice frequency, in a nice energy to get lucky.
100%.
Like, it's somehow always the people who are already happy and satisfied who get lucky. Right? Interesting. The people, for example, when we talk, it's a business podcast, when we talk about people who need clients the most have the least. People who need money the most have the least. Is that fair? I don't know. I just tell you that's how it is. Okay, so that's abundance, right? Feeling abundant. When you're abundant, I don't need more clients, but they come to me and they want me, and I'm like, when?
What do I do?
How do I do that? Like, I need to find different ways. And then there are other people who choose to choose a different attitude. Or I forever remember this one conversation. I went to an event and there was this one guy next to me doing like similar things, and like, it's so hard to get clients. And I'm like, well,
look at me.
no, not look at me. I'm like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. People don't understand how powerful words are. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Whatever you nurture with your energy eventually ends up growing.
Yeah, and so I believe in luck. I believe I'm super lucky. And more of it is coming.
That's a good self-fulfilling prophecy to
That's
have.
as good, yeah. I
100%.
believe I'm lucky. I believe I attract amazing people into my life. And I know at the end of the day, if you really commit to something, it always works out somewhere. And the only thing you can do is to really focus on the thing that you want, have a really strong why, and have faith that it works out. even if you don't know how. Because that's the tricky part. But that's just how it works. People always want to know every single step before they start. If you would already know every single step before, you would have already done it.
So many endless possibilities of how things fall into place. I think it's just impossible for our brain to really compute every single way you possibly can get there.
Yes.
Right? Our brain is very limited. It only sees a linear way of getting to your destination. But there are also so many opportunities that could pop out of nowhere. You meet a person that connects you to somebody slides into your DMs, right? And that's that 20% of luck / manifestation, whatever you want to call, that if you have the commitment and if you have an unwavering desire to achieve something, I feel just comes to you with the right mindset.
Yeah. I once read, your job
Yeah.
is to plant the seed. The universe will take care of planting or growing the tree.
I love that so much.
And that's what I really believe in. Like, I do my part, I play my part. Someone, I don't know who's in charge. Nobody knows. That's, again, like, nothing has meaning. We all don't know. Nobody knows who's in charge.
It's intriguing to discuss it, though.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to choose something empowering. Like, we don't know what happens after this life is over. I just find it way more comforting and beautiful to believe there is something better waiting, right? Than to say, oh, well, it's just a black hole and everything is gone.
What do you personally believe in? Heaven, reincarnation?
I believe I'm going to keep, honestly, I believe I'm going to live a really long, beautiful life. And who knows what's going to be possible then. Because right now we always think we have shit figured out, and if there would have been the opportunity to, create podcasts 200 years ago, people would have said, "Boy, if you turn 50, that's so old," and we know so little. But I personally believe in the universe. I believe someone is in charge, and someone with a sense of humor. That's for sure. But yeah, I believe something better is waiting. I don't know what, but I know it's going to be better.
Yeah,
that's my attitude. Like, okay, if this doesn't work out, still sometimes painful, but something better is waiting. The better it gets, the better it gets. If not this, then something better is waiting. If someone is like if a deal is not working out, well, something better is waiting.
Oh yeah, the universe never says no. It either says yes, or later, or I have something better for you.
Yeah.
I just love that quote.
Yeah. The better it gets, the better it gets.
Yes. In Hindu philosophy, there is a concept of dharma, which is something they call your soul's purpose for this lifetime, or maybe like a God-given mission. What do you see your dharma for this lifetime is?
Improving people's lives. I think that's what I'm here for. I think that's what I'm really good at. Seeing not only what is, but what could be. I think that's why the people that like to work with me, that's what they like about me. That's one of my biggest gifts, to have the courage to see what could be. Yeah. Because most people, they can only see what is right now. Yeah, but at the end of the day, that brings me fulfillment, and I feel really proud when I hear someone made their life better and I played a role. Knowing that makes me very peaceful. You have, from working with you, I would say that you have a beautiful ability to see past any of the present circumstances, past circumstances. You kind of see right through into the line of the best possible reality unfolding. And I think that's such a unique skill. But I also see coaches as people who, yes, guide other people to have better lives, who have incredible amount of wisdom that was not simply acquired through birth. And it seems that you have a God-given gift of absorbing stress without it breaking you. As you said before, the 26 years until that life-changing event that happened, it almost felt like you were being prepared
for all of it. So I want to go back to where I believe most...
Second time goosebumps, by the way.
Yes. I want to go back to where I believe most foundations are set.
Yep.
And that's our childhood. And I want to understand what made you so resilient. So, Axel, how would you describe your childhood in 3 words?
Wow. Yeah, my childhood in 3 words. Challenging, demanding, adventurous. Well, it was for sure, the good thing about my childhood was it was never boring. But it was really, like, I have to say, it was traumatizing, and I wish for nobody to have that experience. But just that came up recently, to be not a long time ago. Like I told you, I saw a lot of drug addiction in my family and surrounding. We were never really wealthy. I was really privileged that I was lucky, very lucky, that I got the chance to grow up in Europe, and especially in Germany.
Yeah.
Like I have not done anything for that privilege. You know, like I didn't have to work for that. I was just born into a really wealthy, beautiful country and ability to go to school. That was really good. Really, really good. But I told you, like, one of the hardest events in my life was my mother passing away. And it became especially hard because I was so young. I don't remember it consciously. Subconscious mind, a baby,
Of course.
knows. Like your body knows. And growing up without a mother is, I think, was really shaping me. It was really painful. And made me suffer a lot. Like I just suffered so much because of it. And that enables me also the other circumstances. Like if you live with an alcoholic,
Yeah.
you get so good. I kind of had to smile when you said those beautiful things about me, that I can look through the things, or that I can sense in what mood someone is in a second. So I know where we can go, you know, like I can sense the moods. And that's because I grew up with alcoholics. Because they, like, one moment's like this, the other moment's like this. You need to know.
You have to be a strong empath
You need
to survive.
Exactly,
though.
to survive. You need to, like, develop those senses. What is the mood right now?
Yeah.
When can I ask for something? Like, when can I ask to go out? When is the right moment? Like, you need to become really good in, like, reading the moment. So that obviously helps me now a lot. And at the end of the day, that's the meaning I gave my childhood. And it was full of physical abuse, mental abuse, and just tough. Like I was not a happy kid. I was not a happy teenager. I remember this moment as a teenager where I had those thoughts of like, why me? Like, what did I do in my past life to deserve all of this? Like, it's ridiculous. And I had moments where I was, for sure, you would call that depression.
What age were you when you felt?
Maybe like 13, 14, where I'm just like, this is so horrible. I can't stand this anymore. And there was, if that's all you know, if that feeling is all you know, I started to question myself and the whole concept of life. Like, this is it? Really? That's when you start thinking about things like suicide. When you, like, someone who's suicidal believes that it's nicer, it's less painful to die, to not be alive anymore, than to live. And I can understand that, because, you come home and there's misery, and you go to bed and you do this whole cycle, and you're like, when is
What's the
this?
point?
What's the point of this? Looking back, I can see how it happened for me. Like, it made me the man that I'm really happy to be because of all of those things. Like, my mom passing away, the hardest moment in my life, probably. I would not be so close to my siblings if that wasn't the case. You know, my grandma took care of me and learned so much from her. And my grandma was such a sweet, loving person. I became so close to her because of that, because of my childhood. So at the end of the day, at some point, I had to make this decision. This all happened for me. And that was Elis Goto. Again, if you want to listen to the entire episode, it's linked down below. We go even deeper, we go even further. Highly, highly recommended. And before you leave the show, really important thing, I love this podcast. I love bringing you the best quality content, the best guests, the best knowledge available on this planet and perhaps at some point different planets as well. And one thing that I need your help with is share this episode with a friend. Sharing is caring. Also gives you 7 years of good luck. I don't make the rules. And also leaving a review for this podcast. Subscribing to this podcast and leaving the review is how you can support your favorite podcasters. And I hope the show makes it on your list. If it does, please subscribe. Most people who listen to podcasts do not subscribe, so you miss out on amazing shows, amazing episodes. And again, the more subscribers, the easier it gets to give you access to the best knowledge possible, to the best guests possible. And so thank you for doing that. Again, 7 years of good luck. I see you in the next episode. Thank you.